to start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Well, hello there, and good evening. This is Dave, and who do I... speak up, son.
I'm Scott Beebe.
Yeah, but only allegedly. See, because, you can't see our faces. But, see, I could be anybody. I could be Bruce Jenner. I could be that creepy guy down the street that picks the wings off of moths and makes collages out of them. Or I could be a black homosexual Jew. But hey, no, I'm just a straight white male. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Of course. And, let's first start off with this. You're listening to a radio show, podcast. You probably already figured that out. See, now, the reason we emphasize allegedly is we were actually going to make that our name, but it seems like some kind of trickster guy. He got ahead of us some, so...
Fuck you, Theo Vaughn.
But you see, the thing is here that we had actually a pretty good reason for picking that. I mean, one of the things is that I like to talk about. See, you're going to get to know us over the course of this show, and if it extends beyond one, if we're lucky, well, maybe a little bit more. But, see, the thing is that you ever think about how the media and the criminal justice system, say you got a guy, you're watching Cops, and police show up, the guy's got a bag of crack in the front seat. He says, "Oh, no, it wasn't me." And then you read in the paper the next day, Jamal Warner, not to stereotype or anything, was allegedly arrested with suspected crack cocaine. But it's like, dude, it's in the fucking front seat. What do you think that is? Baby powder or something? So, hey, but, I digress. So, we're going to have to find a new name. But right now, it's basically just me and Scott. No, he's not allegedly a person. He's not a ventriloquist dummy, so let me give the floor to him for a second.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Beebe, comedian, artist, warrior, scholar. I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. I'm a huge fan of podcasting. I'm a huge fan of talk radio too, but fuck the FCC, man. Fuck censorship and people's inability to say what they think and say what they feel, because that's what people really want to hear. People want to hear the truth. People don't want to have things sugar-coated. I think they enjoy getting up in arms about it when they find out things are sugar-coated, but I love Joe Rogan. I love Duncan Trussell. I love Ari Shaffir. I love all the comedians that do podcasts, and I love a lot of other podcasts, like Neil deGrasse Tyson's Star Talk is amazing. There's just so much information out there that there is no cap on this industry. I think everybody should have a fucking podcast, because that way everybody's opinion would be out there. We could have all the cards on the table. There wouldn't be any bullshit to hide behind anymore. So I met David, and, he has a lot of the same opinions as I do, but he also has a lot of opposing opinions that I have. And we both just want, to give people a view of how we think and how we feel, and hopefully this will evolve into a point where we can get guests, or maybe we can have some kind of call-in show. But it's just all about sharing, spreading the love, and doing what we do. So I think today I'm really pissed about this shit, man. Theo Vaughn, you picked the one word that I wanted. I wanted this to be called Allegedly. That's such a great title, because
yeah, it really is.
You can't bang yourself if you fuck up and you say something that didn't really happen. You can't come back to me if my podcast is called Allegedly. You can't say, "Oh, well, that's not true. It didn't happen." I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not college educated. I mean, I'm basically just your average Joe with a slightly above average IQ. I mean, it's not, I'm not a rocket scientist, so anybody that's going to listen to this podcast to fact check you can suck my dick, because we ain't fucking fact checking on this motherfucker. We don't do it like that.
Well, Scott, thanks for that very eloquent intro. Like I said, we know now who Mr. Scott BB, aka Buell, is, and I'm pretty modest. I'm just a like I said, allegedly white straight male who just happens to have a very dulcet voice, if I may say so, but only allegedly.
He is a sexy motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I am college educated. We'll get into the whole story of how me and Scott ran into each other eventually. But all right. Well, we've taken about 5 minutes of your time already, so how about let's get started a little bit. Now, we were thinking the other day about the inception of this project, and see, usually what me and Scott do is we basically we converge on his abode in the evenings, and we just basically guzzle a lot of cheap adult beverages, talking about the BS that we observe in our lives and around the world.
Sometimes I smoke weed.
Yeah, allegedly.
No, a lot of times I smoke weed.
All right, so, while Step Scott's in the back to roll up a fat joint, as they call them, shout out to Michael Brown, Black Lives Matter and everything. Let's just see. Well, we were trying to figure out what's the best thing that we can talk about on our first show. Bring this new child to the world and everything. Originally how we started talking is just basically, like we said, drinking some beers and, talking about the kind of stupid things that happen around us. So, and everybody likes to talk about it. Everybody complains about everything. The grocery lines, the food on airplanes, that kind of thing. And everybody's got their pet peeves. Me, I like to say I got a whole zoo full of peeves. So, we figured, what's one thing that, we both, I wouldn't say despise necessarily, but, kind of gets under our skin a little bit. And one of the things I was thinking about is saying, I had this idea that when you're listening to this is all original material, and in the future, when we do go mainstream, you will actually legitimately be able to say that, yeah, I totally dug that shit before being mainstream. And you won't be a hipster. Now that is something that we got to talk about. Hipsters.
My bad.
We all know what it is, or what they are. This rare breed, but
no, that's why I want to have this podcast, because I'm not sure what the fuck a hipster actually is or why it exists. So I want to talk about this with you, so we can try to solve this problem in America.
All right. Well, see, I was kind of wondering about where exactly did this rare species originate from, and nobody knows, nobody cares. So
I think they're eunuch hipsters or eunuch hippies.
So what I did was I took a little drive down to the Library of Congress, and after pouring through the bookshelves, I found this official source, and according to let me get this correct, Wikipedia, the original hipsters actually grew out of working class Italian immigrants during the 1950s. So basically, guys wearing, blue jeans with slick back hair and, packs of marbles falling out of their sleeves because their arms are too skinny because they're 14 years old.
James Dean.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, Kurt Russell and the Outsiders. But you see, the thing that's interesting is that...
Pony Boy and shit, yeah.
Right. So the interesting thing, though, is that as time has progressed and we have moved from that, the hipster population seems to have fallen back, because what you have now, if you run into if you go down to a co-op or a cafe of some sort, what you're going to likely find is a tattooed version of H.G. Wells that fell out of his time machine because he was smoking organic reefer. That's what the youth refer to as devil's lettuce. Weed. That's what. Shit. So, but I digress anyway. And also, the other interesting thing is that there's been a demographic shift. Pardon me, as I'm getting a little bit of contact high, I think. As far as the ethnicity, no longer are we seeing Italian greaseballs, Kurt Russell and whatnot from The Outsiders, but what we're seeing is something that seems to be the child of an interracial marriage between a Viking and a samurai. Now let me explain this, and that's because if you go into any of these co-ops, the first thing you're likely to see is a man in a trench coat with some sort of pocket watch who has a long beard and something called a man bun, which, you'll know if you ever see one.
Yeah, that man bun thing, that's like a big thing with these hipsters, is this fucking androgynous hair. Like, it's asymmetrical, like, with the side swept bangs. By the way, those kids are gonna have neck problems in fucking 10 years, by the way. With you're whipping your head to the side every 13 seconds. I want to smack you. I want to, like, give you a neck brace so you don't have to do that, because you're really doing damage to your spine.
Well, see, that's where the invention of the man bun came about. See, now you don't have to have it hanging in your face. You simply create some sort of top knot thing on the back of your head with a rubber band, because, we're not Asia. We don't have silk.
A samurai would stab those fucking guys.
Indeed, that may be the consequence for that. Now, let's go back to this idea. What are some of these kind of things that identify oneself as a hipster?
Well, you have to be edgy. You have to consider yourself edgy.
But again, at the same time, most hipsters will not, in fact, acknowledge that they are hipsters. I mean, if you're listening to this, which is admittedly an obscure broadcast, you may, in fact, be a hipster.
Well, that's the thing. They're nonconformists that only conform to their own subculture.
Right, and so, don't take any of this insultingly, just take it with a dose of irony, which is
observational humor, friends.
Which is another interesting and commonplace trait among hipsters. Case in point, there's an example of it. One time, I was at this place in Frederick, Maryland, which, in my own estimation, is the hipster mecca of the mid-eastern shore area type. That geographic region, to say. But anyway, so we have Cafe Nola, which is their...
Cafe any fucking thing. Cafe anything, there's at least 2 hipsters that work there, and 3 that are there on a daily basis.
Oh, there's many more than that.
Cafe anything.
This is going to be a returning topic. But the thing about hipsters and their irony is that the ironic thing about them is that they don't have a sense of irony about their own ironicness. Is that a word?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I guess that college education really worked out. I often tell people that it's really more like an expensive blunt wrap, but I majored in philosophy.
Oh, can I roll blunt with your fucking...
Oh, yeah, sure. Here. All right, go right ahead. Now, back to the ironic thing about hipsters. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story right now, and it goes a little something like this. Now, picture yourself. We're in Cafe Nola. It's Wednesday evening. It's jazz night. Now, all right, let us proceed from here. Just to set the backdrop. I'm sitting there, and we got these 2 guys sitting next to me. One's got a handlebar mustache. The other one has a tattoo of one on his finger, so we kind of ironically pose as having facial hair. Because, again, he's a prepubescent, I don't want to stereotype or objectify anybody. He may be a boy or a girl or one of the 52 gender classifications on Facebook.
Super androgynous.
Yeah, cis trans, cis boom rah rah. But anyway, let me just set the stage here. So let's see. So I pull up a bar stool at Cafe Nola, Frederick, Maryland. I proceed to order Miller Lite, which garners the attention of several patrons, mostly dirty looks, because I'm not supporting local craft breweries by ordering a PBR. Next thing you know, 2 young gentlemen sit next to me. I notice they're looking at the wall where there's a painting hanging. I actually tried to sell my own painting here, but it wasn't edgy enough for them. Anyway, they're gazing at this painting, stroking their mustaches and pensively gazing, and what it is a picture of potato, and it says Tots under it in block print. And the one says, what do you think this means? The other replies, "It's the fried dreams of our youth. And that's why I stopped smoking marijuana."
Terrible story. That's not even the fucking story you were supposed to tell. Why would you ever quit smoking marijuana? But you were supposed to tell the story about the guy with the paper, with the paper story. He's reading liberal paper.
Oh, yes, the gorilla. Yes, another thing. Now, we don't advocate discrimination, hatred on this program, but no, we do. As Scott so eloquently described the FCC as...
fucking fucks?
Something to that effect. All right, now, we're going to have to step back into the bar, Cafe Nola, so will you join me for just one more moment? So I'm back in Cafe Nola, probably the same bar stool, and I'm sitting here next to a gentleman who's reading the Washington Post, which, just a shout out to one of my own radio icons, Chris Plant at WMAL, as he's so fond of saying, if you get it, you don't get it. In regard to the Washington Post. Now anyway, this guy, he's the only guy sitting next to me, and he looks up with this forlorn sigh and says, "Isn't it terrible how the Middle East is coming apart at the seams?" And I just had to say, "Seams? What do you mean seams? I thought everybody was wearing a big sock over there." And I paused for a second, and he just looks at me and says, "They don't wear socks, man. They wear sandals." So the point of the story is that the irony was lost on a person who self-purportedly has irony as one of their main supposed attributes. Now, I don't know what
And the cocksucker was probably wearing sandals. So does that...
with socks,
yeah,
no
with
doubt.
Socks.
No. I think no. He was wearing some Vans. You know, he had some Sharpie marks on them, I think. And
yeah, and he in his closet he had a fucking pair of Chuck T's, and he had some fucking Pumas, and some DCs, and some British fucking Knights. Quit trying to steal my childhood, you fucks. And on top of that, what is with the free pass? Like, if you're a vegan, you automatically get a free pass to be a hipster. I mean, the vegan movement drives me crazy because it's almost a requirement to be a hipster. You have to be a vegan or a vegetarian, which I don't have a problem with people eating vegetables. If you want to eat vegetables, eat fucking vegetables. That's fine. It's not terrible for you, and you can kind of replicate an omnivorous diet with vegan or vegetarian, especially vegetarian because they eat eggs, and fish. But vegans piss me the fuck off almost more. Like, if you're not a hipster and you're a vegan, that pisses me off even more because you're a hypocrite. There's no way you don't use animal products. You know how many fucking vegans have cats? They feed their cats ground up animals. That's not very vegan of you to have a cat. And then these fucks that have cats that well, I feed my cat vegan cat food. Yeah, and that fucking cat dies in 2 years when it's supposed to live 15 years because the fucking kidneys failed. Stop. Just stop. Stop.
All right. Well,
just stop.
As we step away, I gotta get the blood pressure cuff out for a second. But let me interject on this as well because we all know the restaurant chain Chipotle. I like Chipotle. A lot of people like Chipotle.
My colon does not like Chipotle.
Indeed, and neither do the roommates. But anyway, so with Chipotle, they on their signs they like to talk about how they're animal byproduct free and the things that they feed the animals where they get their meat from and things of that sort. And people like to throw around the idea of, wow, I'm eating chicken, but it's free range. Now, this is another thing I pulled out of the...
Real quick, let me stop you on that, too, because chicken, when you buy chicken at the fucking grocery store, and it says vegetarian fed. Chickens aren't fucking vegetarians. Chickens are baby dinosaurs. If you have chickens and you let them out in your yard and you lift up a rock and there's 30 bugs there, 3 seconds later there won't be any bugs there. Chickens are fucking omnivores. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, very good insight. But free range, as some people may know, it makes them feel better about themselves, which is a huge driving force to people on the liberal left end of the spectrum. That's something I'm sure we're going to get into in later episodes. As you probably figured out now, I am, in fact, voting for Trump.
I don't vote. I got felonies.
Even if he does shoot somebody. And, but anyway, free range, to be categorized for a chicken on a farm, means they need to have 4 square feet of living space while they're being raised before being slaughtered. Now, in my opinion, that is basically the equivalent of the Ebonic term house nigga. Because while they are still a slave, at least they get a little bit better accommodations. Am I right, Scott?
That ain't shit for a chicken. You know how much chickens poop? Chickens poop constantly. There's not going to be a blade of grass, a fucking dandelion, or a fucking worm in any of that. So basically, they're still just chickens that eat chicken feed that don't have to smell other chickens'
But at the same
asses.
token, if we're talking about chickens to, we won't use that term anymore. We'll just refer to them as
Feathered Americans.
Carltons, if you will. Have you ever experienced the day after you ate 3 bowls of jambalaya and chitlins? I think there's a comparison between that and the fecal matter generated by chickens. Wouldn't you say so?
Chipotle. Whoa. I'm sorry about that, folks. Don't ever fucking do that again. We do not do cheesy morning zoo fucking sound effects. This is not Benny Hill. That won't happen again. These fucking vegans need to be stopped, though. The social justice is out of control. I mean, you really want to tell me that you've never owned a leather jacket or a briefcase or anything made out of leather, anything made out of the ligaments of animals? There's no way. There's parts of your car that are made out of animals. Do you walk everywhere on your bare, dirty, hippie feet? I don't think you do. You're not really a vegan. You're a social justice warrior disguising yourself as a lover of animals. And whether or not you have sex with animals on your own time is your fucking business, animal lover. But don't try to make me feel bad because a steak is fucking delicious.
Yeah, I love animals as well. They're actually quite delicious.
Babies are too. I love babies. Babies are delicious.
All right, we're not going to step out into that outer rim.
Oh, not human babies.
Veal.
Yeah.
Veal. Oh, veal's okay.
And niggers.
Yeah, I don't really like them in any capacity. So anyway, go back to that. As far as vegans go, there is actually kind of a funny thing that because what's the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan? I don't know. And even Wikipedia wasn't able to completely, distinguish the boundaries of which. But I did have a friend named Earl back when I was in welding school. Again, look, yes, I am kind of a jack of all trades and allegedly a jackass, but we'll dispute that when I bring my ex on here.
Yes, sir. He's a jack off all trades.
Indeed. Now, so my friend Earl, which ironically looks exactly like Earl from My Name is Earl. He's got the mustache, the long.
You know Jason Lee? I know Jason Lee.
Yeah, his real name's Earl, but he got the whole disheveled hair thing going on, a little greasy, but he calls it, yeah, man, they're essential body oils, man, which basically translates to, I basically rub, water under my armpits and then transfer it to my my cranium. So anyway, one time I was asking him, I was like, so what's it mean to be a vegan? He's like, well, I eat vegetables and stuff. And I asked him, well, what if somebody gave you a steak and you didn't know it was a steak? Because, and we'll get into that. That's a whole nother story. But I asked him, do you have a girlfriend? He said, no. I said, well, okay, well, hypothetically you do. Now, what are you going to say when, you guys go out to dinner and afterwards she says, do you want to eat the clam? Now, what he says to me is, the only byproducts of animals I can eat are from bees.
Well, then, nigga, you ain't getting no honey tonight.
Oh!
Besides the fact that bees are just as much slaves to our world as any of these other animals you're trying to protect.
Yeah, just like Carlton Banks wearing a throwback Steelers jersey.
Bees don't want to live in a little wooden box. Do you have a cell phone, vegan? Do you have a cell phone? Because I know you have a cell phone. You never stop looking at it. So,
Shit.
the cell phone signals kill the bees. They don't know where the fuck to go. It messes up their brain. There was a story, a local bank got attacked by bees because apparently the cell phone signals confused the bees into thinking that this bank was the hive.
Well, there's something to be said about that.
So there were thousands of bees swarming the entrance to this bank and attacking people because we have to keep bees in little boxes. It doesn't... Your social justice is denied. Fuck you.
Well, I guess the judgment on that was pretty much an open and shut case, would you say? But anyway, going back to the whole vegan thing, and again, returning to what's probably going to be our local focal point for hipster-related issues, Cafe Nola. Let's step him back inside for just one more story.
No! Buzzkill!
Well, apparently my co-host can't handle that environment anymore, so we're just going to step outside for a break of sorts. So, anyway, one time I was actually in there, once again, at the same bar stool probably, and it was, in fact, a jazz night once again, and we were enjoying the ambiance of the particular business establishment, and I'll get more into their menu later, because I have a lot. This is not a food show. My name's not Chef Gordon Ramsay. I don't call people idiot sandwich, and, but... in either case.
And I ain't Isaac Hayes, bitch!
One time, I was sitting there, I was enjoying the show, and I realized I was kind of hungry. I didn't really have a lot of money to order off the menu. When you think, you go minimal on the ingredients, but they, for some reason, they are more expensive, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, somebody sitting next to me tapped me on the shoulder and said in an exotic but probably fraudulent accent, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to have the rest of my meal?" And I said, "Well, why certainly." I looked at it, and in the low light of the room, what I saw was a very appetizing skillet of steak fajitas rare.
Allegedly.
Right, well, we'll get to that in a second, exactly how I like them. In fact, blue, but rare was okay for the occasion. So I proceeded to bundle up this little delicacy, stuff it in there with cheese, the lettuce, a little bit of Old Bay, just for whimsy. And when I bit into it, it actually...
Who the fuck says whimsy?
British people. What?
Who the fuck says whimsy in real life?
Yeah.
Don't say whimsy, that shit's gay.
Alright, well. Anyway, well, it turned out it wasn't steak, in fact, but see, it seems that certain foods... in order to be eaten for whatever reason, disguise themselves as other things. And what I thought was an appetizing sirloin steak turned out to be beets.
Oh, beets!
Yeah, I really don't like beets. In fact...
beet fajitas.
Yes, beet fajitas. This is...
You should be beaten for eating those fajitas.
Indeed they should. And we're not gonna talk about what happened in the parking lot afterwards, but it looks like that we just ran out of our case, and that means we ran out of time, so...
and I'm out of weed. I gotta go to my dealer.
Right, so anyway, we're glad you listened. Hopefully you'll stick around. Just tune in next time. Who knows? Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be next week. Maybe 5 minutes from now.
Allegedly.
Scott, did you have any closing remarks for this this inaugurational?
I'm really happy this is our first podcast. I feel like this is exactly where we want to go with this and go to the future. But for my closing statements, I would like to say, just fuck vegans, fuck neckbeards, fuck trust fund babies, and fuck liberal arts majors, fuck independent thinking. If you're under 20 years old, you don't have an independent thought. Do what the fuck your parents tell you. And
All right, now let's turn it over to the weather.